This is going to be your guide to using a Paralysis Artian Hunting Horn in Monster Hunter Wilds. So the first thing we want to do is our setup, and that's just going to be everything in order. So as you can see, it goes Status Attack Up, Divine Protection, all ailments negated, and it just chains itself. So there is an interesting part that I do want to show, because a lot of this is just going to be buffering, and that's like, okay, we have our Flourish, and then we can use that to get in a double note. So it goes Flourish, Double Note, Overhead Smash, Buffered Triangle, but then we want to Hilt Stab, because if we go for an Overhead Smash, even with a Buffered Note, we do it again, that's going to be the follow-up attack, which doesn't let us have an input, and it takes a lot longer. So notice, we go Overhead Smash, follow-up attack, and then we mash. We don't get a hit inside of it. It doesn't give us a free note. So you want to turn that into a Hilt Stab. And then when you Hilt Stab it, you do a left swing because it's slightly faster, and then you can buffer a triangle, and then you do 2 double notes. Now the quick combo for this is going to be Flourish, Double, Hilt Stab, and then you do an Echo Bubble, Triangle, Double, Triangle, and then you can just kind of buffer everything from there. So that's going to be like the quicker setup, it's worth using a bubble for, and then you just have like really OP stuff, that the Status Attack Up, Divine Protection, all ailments. Now you're just strong for a while, but at some point you gotta do some other things. So the next one is going to be a self-improvement into the offset melody, so you Flourish into a buffer, into a Hilt Stab, there's your offset melody, but then we can just turn that into our Echo Waves, so boom. Now we get self-improvement to Echo Waves with the offset melody ready to go, which also means once you have like your base setup, then you go Echo Bubble, and that's going to be Triangle, Triangle, Circle, and then you just go Flourish into the double, and now you can then go for your chaining, where you just kind of put in notes and buffers as you go. So now you have 2 bubbles down, everything. You can start with the self-improvement, so you want to make sure you get that, so you get at least a little bit of damage increase. And then now you're getting crazy paralysis, crazy echo waves, all of your damage, all of your setup, and you now just have an offset melody to use, which is pretty nice. And now it's just going to be chaining into itself, so overhead smash, hilt stab, and then you just kind of find the buffers inside of it, and boom, there's your quick combo for the triple echo wave paralysis, and at any point you can do the natural setup. Now the echo bubbles are interesting because it's not going to be the same thing over and over, that you have to switch it up depending on where you left off. So the first one is going to be double circle double, and then the next one you have to reverse it into circle double circle. It's just something you have to pay attention to, because normally your echo bubbles are just going to be like the same 3-note spam over and over, but not with this one. And then you can just kind of get all of your echo waves and you lay down crazy paralysis. And then that brings us to the offset melody, which is kind of weird to use, that you're not using it as like a dodge or a response to the attack hitting you. You want to make sure that your weapon connects with the attack as it's coming in. Also, you can hold the offset melody, so let's go and line that up. And it gives you a bit of a dodge out, so you can just kind of like dodge out, hold, wait for the attack, and then when it comes in, you want to clash into it, and you can get like a really big knockback and a really big knockdown with it. After you do all that, you can swap into your secondary hunting horn, and that's going to be after a couple of things, like maybe just get 1 paralysis down or all the really awesome buffs to start the fight, but maybe you or your team needs healing, and then that's when we go into our setup. So you want to get that quick earplugs where everything's buffered, and then that's going to keep the team safe. So now you have like divine protection, earplugs, ailment negation. If anyone else is running status, they're buffed up. It also comes down to experience with individual hunts. Sometimes like, oh, I can get 4 paralysis inside of a hunt. Maybe that 4th or 5th one takes a little too long. It's like, yeah, it's not worth it going for that because the resistance to that status ailment goes up. So then it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go to the hunting horn and we're going to get a clean finish. Or maybe even know it's like, oh, 1 or 2 people have dropped. We only have 1 revive left. I'm not going to greed my status paralysis horn. I'm going to make sure no one dies. And then the rest of it goes into my other healing hunting horn guides where it's like, all right, you go double, standing, and then hilt stab. And that's going to be 1. You want to do it again before you worry about anything else. And you can also just kind of put in echo bubbles or chain and try to combo them together. So now we have a melody of life, 2 health recoveries, and we can go into something else as we need to. After that, you can go Echo Bubble into an Echo Wave Blunt, or you just go like Circle, Double, Hilt Stab, and then everything buffers, and that's going to be all nice. And then you can do your performance, so Now we have like blunt damage coming in, which can be really powerful and really nice for some stuns, and then healing, and whenever we need a clutch heal, that's when you can go and use your Melody of Life. Also, you can go like Echo Wave chaining, where it's like, okay, now we do this, and then we can also get a quick, small recovery if we need it in there. Can use it to refresh our self-improvements, and then we just kind of like play around for balancing heals, using large health recoveries to reset our Melody of Life, and then Echo Wave bubbles for the damage to finish off the fight, since there should just be like a huge health advantage from all the paralysis that you laid down and all the extra status you did earlier on in the fight. And then maybe there's even some rotations that you get down depending on the hunt, where it's like, okay, after a couple of minutes, you know, you just play for 1 or 2 paralysis, switch to Healing Horn, switch back to get your final 3rd and 4th paralysis, and while you're doing that, you're also resetting your statuses, and then you're resetting your statuses, so we've kind of seen how this one goes before, where you just want to make sure that we hilt stab that, do a standing, but a forward smash is fine, and then we just do double buffers, and everything is back, and then we can just get Echo Wave Paralysis spam, offset Melody if we want to go for that counter, and then just kind of play it out with your Hunting Horn. Then we can head on over to Mobifier for the build. So this is going to be like DPS, high rank farming. If you're going into Tempered, if you're doing 8-star, you might need to consider some more defensive options depending on how your survivability is. But for this one, we're like all out. We're going Foray. We're going Burst. This has crit status on it, which doesn't give you an insane amount of like extra status, because the status effect has a 33% chance of proccing. So it's the chance of a crit, and then the chance of the proc, and then you get a little bit of extra status damage inside of it. So if we pick up a little bit of extra affinity, that's nice, but we're not playing like maximum affinity, then we're just kind of using it to build up status where we can go. 4 element boost is ideal, and then you get the affinity. If you get raw here, it's fine. That's why I'm not saying like, oh, if it's overly stressful, don't super duper worry about like making it about the crit status. Crit status and even like crit element, not really super powerful right now. So also pay attention to balance adjustments in the future. But then you can just kind of run this for whatever. And the focus is giving us that burst. So we're going to get those hits in as we're chaining, as we're setting up, as we're playing melodies, and then they get paralyzed and everything is just kind of free. And that goes into Foray, where we get plus 15 attack, plus 20% affinity against large monsters affected by poison or paralysis. So you spam out all your paralysis, and then you have a nice cozy finish with your healing Hunting Horn. But also, the Grudge Sounder just does a ton of damage. That if you're just doing like echo waves and putting in some heals and you have a Melody of Life clutch, you're doing as much DPS as just like a DPS focused weapon, or you're just also like slamming a ton of damage. So that's really nice. How do we go about this? Guardian Ebony Helm, that's going to give us 2 burst. We can put in a counter jewel. So that just also means like, oh, we get hit. Counter strike, plus 25 attack. Burst gives us a crazy amount of attack. And then Foray. So now it's like we are coming down for maximum damage. And then Speed Eating is going to be like if we get hit and we need to heal while we're into our Status Hunting Horn, we can just kind of get it for free because you use the Udra Mire Braces while we're trying to stack Counter-Strike. That's nice. It has a slot for the Gobbler Jewel, and then we go Chain for Burst. GG easy, I guess. And then we have the Arc Vulcan Mail. So a little bit of extra free weakness exploit for the affinity. If you want to put some extra weakness exploit because that's your playstyle, you can. I just find it tricky to go like weakness exploit while trying to go Hunting Horn setup. I just hit whatever's in front of me and try to get the buffs and the effectiveness down. You don't have the agility or range to really select your targets and get reliable weakness exploit. Also, something else that's really nice is like Sonorous Expert Jewel is huge on your Artian Status Hunting Horn, because that's going to give you the melody duration extend, and that's one of the best parts of the horn. I'm thinking about actually like making this my mainstay, that my other like main build is Bone Hunting Horn, because you go act defense and then heal and make everyone immortal, and you still have like a lot of combat effectiveness. But with this, well, I'm still putting down like paralysis status, which is a very high utility thing and also very supportive, but then divine protection and the ailments negated, that feels as good as the Bone Horn. So the extended melodies are going to be very important, and then KO Jewel, just cause, crit status, paralyzer, all that makes sense. Then we want Foray Jewel on our chest. Then we have Guild Ace Coil and Boots, and that's going to give us some 3 slots to also round out our burst on the chain jewels. And then we go Foray Charm, and now we have 5 burst, 5 foray, 3 counter strike, 4 insane DPS, speed eating to stay inside the fight, get the survivability, or heal up some ailments really quick, maybe just drink a demon drug extra fast. Everything else is just kind of what it is. Like, you can have the peak performance, and that peak performance carries over really well for the Grudge Sounder. I think that's really all there is to it for this flavor of build, that you can use other horns here if you like them. People are just like, yo, I use the Resounding Galahad and I have a great time and I don't have to worry about survivability. I've just found like the most comfort and even just like crazy damage, that if I build an Elemental Artian Hunting Horn, I'm out on hunts, I'm just like, well, I'm doing about the same damage as the Grudge Sounder and still a little sketchier. The maximum stamina thief is actually really, really good, and you start to realize, oh, yeah, these monsters are just getting exhausted, and everything slows down really quick in the fight, and then you can just go for a really nice finish. The sharpness, you get razor sharp, handicrafts, and then an extra KO jewel in there, and you're just wrecking while having the extra damage. And I think that's also where the damage comes in, which like, oh, you're just staying sharp. And then with the sharpness, your damage is actually staying up really high for a long time, and then you're just keeping everyone in the fight forever, and that's really, really cool. So comment your thoughts down below. Also, anyone that has been running like Element, Status Hunting Horn can give a little bit of extra advice where it's like, oh yeah, during these hunts, you know, I can find 4, maybe 5 paralysis. Sometimes I just go for 4 and then switch to my other one. And that's really the biggest thing about the hunting horn, is that a guide isn't going to teach you the hunting horn. You have to put in a lot of practice to really understand each individual hunt and your rotations for it, because you have your diverse melody sets and different ways of setting it up. A really big skill expression on the hunting horn is if you input a note improperly, how to turn that into another melody and then kind of salvage it and not lose too much uptime. So that means, you know, you have to go into the practice tool, you have to practice your combos, you have to practice your warm-ups a lot of times, then go into, like, weaker, lower-level hunts. The event hunts are also really good for this. Like, you go into the event hunt, you just practice your rotations there, then you go into the bigger hunts, you realize where you're weak, where you're strong, and then you keep refining your rotations until you have the hunts down and practiced really well. And inside of that, that's when you're going to learn your tech, and that's when you're going to learn your things. Maybe there's a world where you start Grudge Sounder, where like you come in, you just immediately give the earplugs, that way no one has to worry about that, put down a little bit of damage, get that healing going, set up your Melody of Life, that way when you switch back to your hunting horn, you'll just have it. So then you can get 1 or 2 paralysis, get all that other set up, come back into the Grudge Sounder, immediate Melody of Life, and then you go into your other combos, and now you just kind of like extend and have the best fight, the nicest fight possible. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.